Everyone has an idea of how miserable it can be when something bad happens to you. For example, I'm extremely miserable. Oh, that's not what it says. Comparing yourself go deaf versus being on the phone with the cable person. Very different shades of misery. Today I'll be reviewing this miserable game, Shit Happens. This is a 2 to 8 player game playing best at 4 for gameplay and game length balance. It plays around 30 minutes depending on player size by using card drafting and pattern placement. This is for those 17 plus, as it's not safe for work with some of the content on the cards. Let's see it. Okay, so in this game, you have about 200 of these cards, each one having, a new each one having a new situation and having a misery index number. Okay, so each player is going to go ahead and draw 3 cards, or anyone can pass out 3 cards, and you lay them out in order of misery index. So keep in mind, I have 2 players, and each player has 4 locations starting out: A, B, C, and D. Okay, D, C, B, A. Those are the locations you'll be placing these cards if you're able to match them correctly or incorrectly. Now let's say this player goes first. And keep in mind, it took a little while for me to set this up because there are so many cards in here that are not safe for YouTube or my videos. So a lot of these are going to be safe for work. Don't worry about it. So let's say this player goes, he draws a card and he reads out what the situation is. Attend 4-hour opera. So now this player over here is going to guess, is it going to be, is the misery index going to be in between 14 and 51.5? Is it going to be in slot B, D, C, or A? So this player is like, I think it's going to be A. It shouldn't be that tough. It's not that bad. I would rather go to a 4-hour opera than lose a big game. I don't think it's that miserable. Based off, I'll probably have to live with this for the rest of my life. So he's guessed correctly. So it's placed here now. Alright, let's make sure you can see all these numbers here. Now this player goes, he's going to draw a card, and he's pubes cotton zipper. Man, that does sound terrible, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad. So this player goes, and he's like, man. So this player goes, and he's like, man, sprayed by skunk probably sucks, but you know what? This is probably worse. I'm going to put it in slot B. He looks, the misery index is actually below the sprayed by skunk, meaning he actually lost. He was wrong. So this player gets this card. Just like that. You place it in the slot. The game ends when one player has collected 10 shitty situations. Fairly simple game. There's not much else to it. You're either guessing correctly or guessing incorrectly. You're either receiving the cards or giving the cards away. I like the idea a lot. I'm a huge fan of the game timeline, personally. So this was a nice theme to tackle with the idea of pattern building. And on top of that, it's a lot more interactive as well. Instead of placing cards that will pull in our own pattern, we are testing our opponent's idea of what the misery scale should be for the victory of that card. While this isn't a know it or you don't type of game, where you're just placing things and hoping that you win, I did find this game is a lot more subjective than I'd like it to be. Some of the ranked topics were a little off from my personal experience, and I shared this opinion with a lot of people I played it with. The level of misery one card had would be drastically different from what I assumed. I also feared the longevity of this game because players will begin mesmerizing cards, which would realistically hinder this game unplayable. I do love the color scheme and I love the game direction's art. I do find it does a great job interpreting what the atmosphere should feel like. Yellow warning signs with minimal shared feelings of how does your body really react to these specific situations. Minimalism that recreates the tunnel vision as we endure some very miserable and anxious moments. If this sounds like something you'd like, it's a party game that incorporates simple gameplay, but the longevity issues do hold strong in my opinion. However, it is something that's easy to learn, easy to teach, and playable. Of course, there is the not safe for work content, so just keep that in mind before you check this game out. Comparing yourself Go deaf versus being on the phone with the cable person. Very different shades of misery.